What's up? What's up? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Ricky T. Anthony coming back at you with another Ricky's Rants. And just had a thought. I did my whole 3-part rant about bodybuilding, how we can fix it, what's wrong with it, etc., and just my general thoughts. Maybe I was right, maybe I was wrong. Who the hell knows? But we need to do more for the sport. And what I thought about was, back in the 80s, there were a lot of shows out there helping build a sport. But let me start from the top down. I was looking online. I looked at NPC shows and I looked at NABA shows, right? The two bigger federations out there. I know there are a couple others. But what I did notice was that, no disrespect to NABA, but NABA, if you want to get your product out there, people got to see it. And you have like, what? 10, 15 NABA shows annually, and the only shows that are here in the US that are in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, or in Ohio. Nowhere else really. There's one or two others that's way out there, but that's it for NABA. So if you want to compete in the US in NABA, you got to travel or you either got to be close to Pennsylvania or Ohio, or I think one is in San Diego, and that's it. And the rest are in Kuwait, England, Birmingham, England, and all that stuff. So really, you got to do better now, but you got to have more shows stateside and worldwide. You got to have at least, 15, 20 shows annually within the US, prominent shows to get your name out there. And to the NPC, what I noticed was every show was a national or pro qualifier. So what about the guy that is interested in bodybuilding and just wants to get out there and test his mettle, whether they're in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, or 60s? He just want to get out there and see what's out there, you know? How disheartening is that? It's very hard for you to be, let's say, you're training hard, you're in your 20s, you've been doing it for 5, 6, 7 years. It's very hard for you to automatically just come up and place top 5 in a NABA show. I'm sorry, not NABA, in an NPC show off the cuff in a national qualifier. That's hard because the competition is tough. And getting back to where I started, back in the day, there were a lot of gym shows. Local gym chains had their shows, and everybody had their shows. You know, Mr. XYZ Gym, Mr. Brooklyn, Mr. Bronx, Mr. whatever. They had a lot of these shows, and a lot of them were non-qualifiers for nationals or anything. It was just for guys to get in there and compete and see how they fared against the competition. So all I'm saying is bring a lot of those back. I even remember there were high school bodybuilding shows. There's none of that anymore. And it's sad because a lot of sports today use bodybuilding as a route. Football players lift weights, soccer players lift weights, basketball players, baseball players. Everybody's lifting weights and coming to bodybuilders to learn certain training techniques, and powerlifters to learn techniques. But, you know, there's no high school bodybuilding shows. That's ridiculous. That's how you get the kids into bodybuilding. More high school bodybuilding shows, more lower level bodybuilding shows where, okay, they place top 3 or top 5. Now they can try out a national qualifier. And I think that should be a stepping stone. You do these shows like a Mr. Brooklyn and you win top 3, top 5. Now you compete in Mr. New York City with all the 5 boroughs. You place top 3, top 5. Now you can do a national qualifier. You know, that way guys get to compete against their peers, and it gets to weed out the sheep from the goat, so to speak. That's just my rant. That's what I believe. You should have those structured steps from the bottom up. That way, guys get to cut their teeth if they've never competed before. They cut their teeth on a lower level. They do okay. Dorian even did it. Dorian said he did a certain show, and he said, if I didn't do good in that show, that let me know I don't have the chops. He did that show. He won. He went up to the next level. He won again. Then he went up to the a pro qualifier, and he won again. And the rest was history. But he took certain levels. So that's what you need to bring back in bodybuilding, to me, the levels. NABA, you want to be a force, have better pro shows, and have more national qualifiers. Have more shows, period. NPC got a lot of shows, but you just need to have different levels. That's all I got on that. I mean, that's my rant. Flexing on your funky ass, hoping that they put it together and get levels of shows so that we can all compete amongst our peers. And, you know, it makes the sport bigger and better for everyone. Put it back in the high schools, etc., etc. That's my rant, and I'm out.